I found out by accident, which somehow made it worse because nobody had planned to tell me. Not my stepmother, not my lawyer, and definitely not my father. He was already gone, 2 months buried, and I was still learning how to breathe without him. My dad and I were close, not in a dramatic way, just steady, reliable. He called every Sunday, asked about my work, told the same jokes, and he always ended with, "Everything I do is for you." That sentence replayed in my head while I sat in a beige office holding a manila folder. The lawyer cleared his throat. "This is the most recent version of your father's will," he said. Most recent. I didn't like the sound of that. I scanned the pages, then scanned again. Something was missing. No, someone was missing. Me. The house? Left to my stepmother. The savings? Her. The investments my dad and I had discussed for years? Also hers. I flipped the page. Then the next. My hands started shaking. "There must be a mistake," I said. The lawyer didn't look surprised. That's when I knew. "This version was filed 6 weeks before your father passed," he explained carefully. 6 weeks. That's when my dad was barely conscious, when he couldn't hold a pen, when she was suddenly handling everything. My stepmother, the woman who called me sweetheart but never used my name, the woman who smiled a little too tightly, who always said, "Your father and I decided." I finally understood what that meant. "Did my dad know what was in this will?" I asked. The lawyer hesitated. That hesitation was my answer. I walked out of that office with nothing in my hands. No inheritance, no explanation, just a choice to make. I could fight her, drag everything into court, or I could let her think she won. I didn't go home right away. I sat in my car, hands still on the steering wheel, staring at nothing. My dad's voice echoed in my head. "I've taken care of you." That's what he used to say whenever I worried about the future. He wouldn't have done this, which meant someone else had. I drove straight to the house, the same house I grew up in, the same porch where my dad taught me how to ride a bike. Her car was there. Of course it was. She opened the door before I even knocked. "Sara," she said softly, too softly. "You should have told me you were coming." I walked past her, straight into the living room. Everything looked the same, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. Why wasn't I in the will? No greeting, no warm-up, just the truth. She sighed, sat down slowly, like this conversation exhausted her. "Your dad and I talked about it," she said. There it was again, that phrase. "When?" I asked. "When he couldn't speak?" Her lips tightened. "You're being unfair." Unfair. I almost laughed. "You changed the will 6 weeks before he died," I said. "You didn't think I'd notice?" She stood up suddenly. "I did what I had to do," she snapped, "for the family." There it was, the justification. "You live your own life," she continued. "You're independent." I stayed. That sentence told me everything. This wasn't about love or fairness. It was about control. "You didn't stay," I said quietly. "You positioned yourself." Her eyes flashed. "You should be grateful," she said. "I didn't leave you nothing." That's when I knew she had rehearsed this. She expected tears, begging, a fight. She wasn't prepared for silence. "You can keep it," I said. Her smile flickered. "Everything?" "Everything." Because the moment I stopped fighting, I took something she didn't realize I owned. Control.
I didn't threaten her. I didn't argue. I didn't even raise my voice. I just left. That confused her more than anger ever could. She stood there, in the living room, surrounded by things she now legally owned, and she smiled. A small smile, a satisfied one. That was fine. I wanted her comfortable. I wanted her careless. I wanted her to believe the story she told herself, that I wasn't smart enough, or strong enough, or angry enough to fight. Silence is dangerous when people underestimate you. I stopped calling, stopped visiting, stopped reacting. From the outside, it looked like I gave up. From the inside, I was finally thinking clearly. I requested copies of old documents, medical records, care schedules, emails I'd ignored before. Patterns started appearing. Dates didn't line up. Signatures looked rushed. Decisions were made when my dad wasn't lucid. None of it screamed crime, but it whispered manipulation. I didn't confront her. I didn't accuse. I just kept notes. Lots of notes. Meanwhile, she started slipping, posting photos, bragging quietly, spending loudly. The house renovations, new car, trips she never took before. She was celebrating early. I heard through neighbors that she'd started calling the house hers. That hurt, but it also confirmed something. She'd forgotten me completely, and that made her careless. People make mistakes when they think the threat is gone. I wasn't planning revenge. I was preparing truth. And truth, when timed correctly, is devastating. One night, I opened a box I hadn't touched in years, my dad's old files, letters, notes, and one document that made my breath stop, a copy of an older will, signed, dated, clear, and I was in it. That's when I understood. Letting her believe she won was the smartest move I'd ever made.
I didn't go to her first. That would have warned her. I went to someone who dealt in facts and consequences. The attorney listened quietly, didn't interrupt, didn't react. That scared me more than anger. He laid the documents side by side, old will, new will, medical timeline, caregiver logs. His fingers stopped on one date. This is important, he said. I already knew. That date was the day my dad didn't recognize me. The room felt smaller. What does this mean? I asked. It means questions, he said, and pressure. He sent one letter, just one. That's all it took. She called me that night. I watched the phone ring, didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Her voice was different, tight, careful. Sara, we need to talk. We, not family, not daughter, negotiation language. She showed up unannounced 2 days later. No smile, no confidence, just calculation. You went to a lawyer, she said. Not a question. I nodded. You shouldn't have, she said quickly. Fear slipped through. We can fix this, she added. Fix, not explain, not apologize. Fix. She offered money, quietly, off the record. That was her mistake. Because people who are innocent don't buy silence. I don't want your money, I said. I want the truth on record. She went very still. For the first time, she looked at me like I was dangerous, because I was. Not loud, not emotional, just prepared. The truth had started moving, and once it does, it doesn't stop.
The meeting didn't happen in court. Not yet. It happened in a quiet office with too much air conditioning and not enough honesty. She sat across from me, hands folded, smile practiced. But her eyes kept flicking to the folder, the one with dates, signatures, medical reports. Truth. "We don't need to do this the hard way," she said. There it was. Not remorse, not apology, convenience. She slid a paper toward me. A settlement. Money. Quiet. No admission of wrongdoing. She thought this was still about inheritance, about winning. She was wrong. "I don't want it," I said. Her head snapped up. "What?" "I don't want the house, or the money." Confusion crept in. Fear followed, because then she realized this wasn't about negotiation anymore. "I wanted you to know," I continued, "that I could have taken everything back. I chose not to." That broke her, because winning feels hollow when it's handed back. I signed a different paper, a release. No contact, no future claims. Clean. She stared at me like I'd stolen something. I had. Her power. I walked out lighter than I walked in. Not richer, just free. Months passed. The house became a burden. The money ran thinner than she expected. Silence followed her everywhere. Mine was peaceful. I kept one thing from my dad. A note he wrote years before he got sick. "You'll always be okay," it said. He was right. Because sometimes walking away isn't losing. It's choosing yourself.